Hi, I'm April from AprilStorm Props. Today I'm going to show you the best way to finish a 3D printed ABS Dropbear helmet. Now what makes the ABS Dropbear helmet a little bit different to a lot of the helmets that we're seeing right now, particularly through the costume clubs, is a lot of people use PLA. I specifically don't use PLA, I use a plastic called ABS. ABS is a very tough plastic. It's used commonly in automotive. It's used for manufacturing. PLA really started its life off as a prototyping plastic. It's dimensionally stable, but it's a lot easier to print with. So you can print with PLA on a much cheaper printer than you can with ABS. ABS requires a lot more effort really to print. Now, why would you use ABS? Well, ABS is a lot stronger, it's more durable, high heat resistance, but the thing really, when it comes to props, is it makes it a whole lot easier to finish, and I'll show you why. So the first thing I'm going to do is to sand this, and arguably you can sand PLA plus, but with a power tool, but perhaps not the way I finish this. So I'm just going to go through the steps of how I finish and the steps I take to actually finish a Dropbear helmet to a point where I can spray putty on it. So let's kind of zoom in on the workbench so you can actually see what I'm doing. So it's going to get real loud now because I'm going to use random orbital sander. So there's two sanders I like to use. Random orbital is, I think it just gives, it's probably the best because it doesn't stay in one particular space for very long, and it's fitted right now with an 80 grit, which is fairly heavy. This is like kind of a mesh, a new kind of disc I'm trying out. It cuts a little bit more. But the trick here is I basically start my sander up and I press down, and I go at it really hard. What you want to do is you want to get rid of these kind of lines. So here I didn't press very hard, and you can sort of see it's sanded some parts and left others. Because here I actually pressed down quite hard and I sanded away, and that's the finish you need to get. You need to do that over the whole helmet. It doesn't actually take that long. It takes me about 15 minutes to finish an entire helmet. Then that's the first that's the first coat, basically. So they're going to go through the whole get into every slot. It just can't. It's too big. So we just leave those blank, and we'll come back with a smaller sander to finish those spots off. So here's basically the finished product. You can see there are some gaps along the edges which I haven't been able to get to, but I've done all of that with the random orbital, which is quite a big sander, and it will do that within 15 minutes and you'll get to about this level. Now all the other bits where I can't get the random orbital, it's just too big in there, random orbital sander, I use this thing, right? It's called a multi-tool, and This is a cordless variety, but basically you can get these from just a regular hardware store. They normally come with an attachment. Sometimes they have a saw, but they often have these sanding discs, and you buy sandpaper for them in various grits. Again, start with about 80. It's quite rough, but you just want to get the print lines off. And it's ABS. It's as tough as nails. Well, not actually nails, but it's very tough. So it will take a beating, and unlike PLA, it won't melt and clump when you actually push too hard. So ABS is really easy to work with. It's really easy to sand, and there's no need to use bog or fiberglass or any of these things because, well, why would you? Because you can just sand it down, and well, I always print them with at least a 2mm wall, so you can sand away pretty much all the polygons, so you get a very smooth, straight edge without any cutting into the internal structure of the print. Anyway, so as you can see, I can get into the other section quite well. Anyway, so we're now ready to attach the ears now. It's easier to sand obviously without the ears attached, so which is kind of why I do it this way. As you saw, I was getting pretty rough with it. Look, the thing is, if you want the helmet to last, it should be able to handle at least some roughness when you're finishing it. If it's going to break, now's the time that you want it to break, not while you're actually using it. So the next step is really to put the ears on. Now, I acetone weld them because, frankly, it's a lot cheaper, it's less messy. It tends to leave marks on the print, but you get a really good bond. So now I'm going to acetone weld the ears, which I've got here, onto the helmet. So I use Digger's acetone. It's basically used in the fiberglass trade for cleaning up fiberglass. So you'll find it in hardware stores around where they sell fiberglass usually, or where they have solvents, paint solvents and things. Put it in a tray that isn't going to melt. It's an aluminium tray. It is actually said called aluminium, not aluminum. So I dip the ear in some acetone, and you can see I'm just rubbing just with my hands. Probably shouldn't do this. I probably should use the paintbrush. You know what? You should use the paintbrush. And I just plonk it on there. I've got the other ear cap, which I'm just going to wet in the acetone and plonk it on. The advantage of this technique is that it basically melts the plastic just that little bit, and it welds the two sides of the plastic are melted, they fuse together, and as the acetone evaporates, you're left with a weld. The weld is stronger than any glue that you'll get, unless it's a weld type glue, obviously. The other thing you could do is you can use acetone to try and finish the helmet. I am not a great fan of it because put too much on, you can melt the helmet. Because ABS is solvent in acetone. It reacts quite well to it. You'll find this type of glue is also used for things like Warhammer module miniatures, and a lot of those type of Airfix glues will work rather nicely on this prop. Once I'm finished, I pour the thing back in. Now there'll be some gaps where you've actually stuck the helmet on, so you're going to try, you'll have a few minutes to be able to move the parts around as the acetone hardens or evaporates, leaving the plastic. But the beauty with this is within about 15 minutes they'll be ready to paint. You just need to give it a bit of time for the acetone to evaporate. So it's nice and quick, it doesn't slow you down. I'll then have to finish the ears, but what I find is the ears are a little bit more detailed, so I find that it's easier to spray and use other tools and hand tools to finish off so that I maintain the detail. I don't really attack it with such ferocity as I do the base helmet. And now I'm sort of at the point where I'm just changed workstations, and I'm going to use a doodle pen to close any gaps that might have happened when I've put the ears on. Sometimes, you know, you won't get a perfect fit. So the idea with the doodle pen, if you can get hold of one, is that we'll just melt the same plastic you used to print the printer. So if there is a gap, for example here, where the rangefinder base kind of closes, there's a little bit of a gap there, so we just want to close that off by extruding some molten plastic into that gap. The advantage with this is it's the same plastic that the helmet's made out of. So it saves you a lot of time. Now these are about $40 online. This is a Merrywell one. There are some which are really useless. Don't get a UV curing one, it's not going to work with ABS plastic. But most of them come with little spools. They're actually really good for kind of fixing odds and ends here and there. Now the next step is just to wait for that to dry. Then I'm going to hit it with spray putty. After that, the painting and sanding process is really the same as you would pretty much any other prop. So I'm not going to go through that much more detail. You know how to spray paint something. The whole point is to try and remove those print lines and make it look like an in Star Wars costume helmet as much as you can. So thank you for watching. I hope this has been useful. Thank you.